Now, amongst the many events cancelled worldwide because of the coronavirus pandemic are, of course, sporting events like the NBA suspension I mentioned before. And here to tell us more is Simon Harding, our sports editor. Simon, what's the latest?
Hi, Claire. Well, the latest I can tell you from the world of sports is that the Formula One debut race of the season, the Grand Prix, which was meant to be held in Australia on March 15, so this weekend, has been officially postponed. That is because McLaren earlier in the day pulled out of the Grand Prix after one of their staff members had tested positive for the coronavirus. And it also comes on the back of a very controversial interview by the current world champion Lewis Hamilton, who said that he was completely surprised that the race was going ahead. He said every sport around the world is stopping and yet we keep on driving, is a loose quote of what Lewis Hamilton said, but big criticisms from basically their star driver. Also, what we can give you latest is in tennis, the ATP Tour, which it basically controls the professional men's game, whether the Challenger Tour or the Professional Tour, has decided to suspend play for 6 weeks. So that has an immediate impact on tournaments like Indian Wells, which was due to start this week, but also Miami looking forward, and has a major impact on the whole clay court season. So major tournaments such as Monte Carlo, Barcelona come into this bracket under suspended until April 27th. And of course that poses the question, is Roland Garros, is the French Open, the second Grand Slam of the year, which is coming shortly in 2.5 months, is that going to be suspended? One, because of the coronavirus and the situation in France, but two, also because players won't have enough time to prepare for the tournament on clay. So Formula One and tennis are the two latest sports that have seen absolute major disturbances.
And what about football? We've been reporting a lot on that lately.
Well, football is just a constant flow of information, unfortunately, Claire. Yes, the entire Real Madrid squad is currently in quarantine and self-isolation, and that's because one of the basketball players who plays for Real Madrid was actually contracted the virus, which means that the La Liga, which is Spain's top league and the governing body of Spanish football, has decided to suspend play because of what's happened to Real Madrid. We can also say that in England, Leicester City have also had 3 cases of coronavirus. Brendan Rodgers, the manager of Leicester, has said that the club followed procedures. We don't know who the players are, but that poses major risks to what the Premier League and the future of English football, which so far had been pretty much spared. We know that Manchester City against Arsenal was postponed yesterday because Arsenal players had been in contact with the Olympiacos president, Olympiacos, who knocked Arsenal out of the Europa League last week. But of course, Manchester City against Real Madrid in the Champions League has now also been called off. Daniele Rugani plays for Juventus, was one of the first Italian players to test positive for the virus. He since tweeted that he's okay, but that means that the whole Juventus team is also currently undergoing self-isolation. And we've just heard from UEFA that the Euro 2020s might be postponed. There's a meeting on Tuesday to decide whether or not that happens. It's still very much up in the air, but if the situation continues like this, then it almost seems like there won't be any choice but to postpone football and maybe leave this season as a whole unended.
God, it's incredible. Thank you very much, Simon, for bringing us up to date.